10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Dax Chats. In this episode, I'm speaking to a West Coast, well, actually, she's a Northern Belle, but she lives on the West Coast of the USA, and she's been recording some brilliant stuff. She brought out her debut single in 2019 called The 4th of July. Her second single was an amazing success on the Country Thunder Network, and it is called Homegrown, and she has just released a brand new single called Tennessee Tells. Today, Dax Chats with Kylee Stone, and here is Kylee Stone. Hello, Kylee. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well under these beautiful conditions that we're all living in right now.
Oh, yeah. Good as we can be, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. So now let's find out about Kylee Stone. You are not from LA. You are not from the West Coast. You are from the northwest of America. Yeah. Tell us about where you're from and how your journey began.
Right. So I am from like half an hour to an hour north of Seattle, called Edmonds, Washington. And Pacific Northwest. It's like this little harbor town in Washington. It's beautiful. I have been playing music since I was small. I took piano lessons when I was 5, vocal lessons when I was 5. My dad and my grandfather my grandfather was a jazz pianist. So I never got to meet him because he died when I was little, but I think it definitely runs through our blood. And then my dad has been playing since I can remember, guitar, piano, vocals. So I grew up just around that and got into it myself. And I was a huge band nerd in high school. And then since then, once I graduated, I actually went to university for public health, which was like totally different than what I thought I was going to do. And like 2 years into that, I was like, you know what? Like, I miss music. Like, that's just like what I need to do. Like, this isn't me. And I decided to leave, like, super close to finishing my bachelor's. And I was like, I just got to get out of here. Decided to pack up, move to LA, and pursue my music career.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hard. It was a hard decision, but I'm so glad I did it. Went to the Musicians Institute in Hollywood, where I met Sandra, where I met Juan. And it's just been uphill from there. It's been great.
It has been. So now, in 2019, you brought out your debut single called The 4th of July, but you brought it out in August. Why?
I know. You know what? Actually, it was supposed to release on the 4th of July, but you know, it was my first single. It was my first release ever, so I didn't really know too much of what I was doing. I got into some trials and tribulations there, and I thought, you know, maybe it's better to release after 4th of July, not get so tucked under all the firework pictures. But it did just as well. So, but that was the original.
Well, I mean, the original plan was to be on the 4th of July. I mean, I probably would have brought it out earlier than the 4th of July, so that it set and it resonated for those people that enjoy the 4th of July, that, you know, believe in American Independence Day, you know, all that lovely, wonderful stuff. But, you know, I mean, I've suffered the same trials and tribulations as well. The music scene is a hard thing, and when releasing songs, you have no idea how they're going to fall, do you?
No, not at all.
No. So, I mean, my 2019 single, because I haven't been doing albums lately. I've just been doing singles because I'm getting
Right.
old.
That's the way to go.
So my 2000, yeah, well, that's the new normal is just a single at a time. Don't worry about doing EPs. Don't worry about doing albums because it's all based on whatever the newest song is on Spotify, on streaming platforms. So
Yeah, 100%.
yeah. So I learned that very quickly. But my 2019 single called "The Whiskey," I did the same thing. I had no idea, and I was just like, I'm going to release this song, and I had the pre-save, and I had the all the stuff you do, but
Right.
it didn't go anywhere. Like I think it's still on Spotify. I know it's on YouTube. I just found
Yeah.
it. you sort of sit there and forget about them after that. It's like, okay, it's gone. See ya.
Yeah. But that was
Yep.
the funny thing with 4th of July is like I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh man, I'm just gonna like do this, and that's actually been my most successful song to date. So it's funny how that works out.
I don't know about that. I think you've got a pretty successful song with the one you've got now, but we'll talk about that shortly.
Okay.
So your second single, the first single of 2020, was called Homegrown. Now,
Yes,
run us
sir.
through the story of Homegrown. That was a brilliant track. I actually love that track.
Thank
so
you.
tell us about the story of Homegrown.
Oh man, actually, a lot of people think that Homegrown is about something a little different than it is. Well, I mean, to an extent. Obviously, the song is about women empowerment and just like coming to who you are and saying like, I'm not going to stand for this, whatever's going on. And like, this is who I am, and I'm going to stay true to that. And it has a little bit of a darker meaning to it. I originally wrote it for domestic abuse survivors.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the story really is about. About a survivor saying, I'm over living this life. I am over being taken advantage of, and I'm gonna go live my life and live in this paradise because I'm homegrown. I'm like a well-known woman, and I've got a backbone. Like I can stand up for myself. So that's what it's actually about, and I think it's a really powerful statement for women, especially nowadays in these times. And yeah.
Wow. So yeah, I mean it is a powerful song, and it's bloody fantastic. I love it.
Thank you.
No worries, no worries. And obviously that came out sort of before the proverbial hit the fan.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about the proverbial. After Homegrown came out, basically the world went into lockdown, and this pandemic happened. How have you coped through this new normal that we're living in?
Man, it's definitely been a life changer. It's been a career changer. Me and my band have been super focused on like recording and releasing music, and then right before lockdown happened, literally a day before our first gig, not our first gig, but our first gig. Anyways, we were practicing and rehearsing and everything, and we were about to like hit it hard with playing live, and that was going to be our next phase in our music journey. And literally the day before our big gig that we were talking about and practicing for, everything closed down. And I mean, we saw it coming for sure, but it was still like, man, like we were so pumped for that. And I don't know, it's been hard because obviously a lot of musicians have been struggling and they just want to get back out and reconnect with their fans live and play live and continue with their career. But it's also been I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but at least for me, it's been really eye-opening because like I'm a country artist in LA, and that can be kind of hard,
Mm.
right? There's not a lot of
Yep,
country in
for
LA,
sure.
but
Well, there's more than you think, actually.
there is. Oh, of course, totally, 100%.
Yeah.
And if you can get into the crowd, like, you got some loyal fans for sure. But I'm also really into songwriting. I do a lot of songwriting for other artists as well, and that's where I really feel like the music. Besides performing, is songwriting. And I've always like toyed around the idea of moving to Nashville. I'm like, I don't know, like, it's a big move. And after everything's closed down, like, it was a huge like push to say, like, you need to go to Nashville, you need to just like rip the Band-Aid off. So that's the plan, and about half the band is moving with us to Nashville, so that'll be good, and I'm excited for that new chapter. Yeah.
So you are moving to Nashville. Do you know anybody in Nashville? Like, obviously you might know producers and stuff like that, but do you have any footing in Nashville that can get you started there?
My pianist, he's from Nashville, so he like knows a lot of the area and everything, which is good to know where to live. And then I've been to a couple writers retreats in Nashville, so I know a few people in the industry over there, and like just where to kind of get your foot in the door. So, and I've had a couple trips over there as well. So I think I'll be okay. I think I'll have a good basic roadmap for when we finally make the move in November. So
November, right? Well, it is a tough road, and it is a hard thing to do, to just decide to pack up and move to this place that is the home of country music in America, because Music Row is not easy. I know it's not easy. I know many people that have tried and failed. And I'm not one of them. I've never tried it. But you know, even many Australians have gone over there and with the hopes of being somebody and ending up being nobody, but just, well, you know, they are to a point. But more so, instead of being artists, they're just songwriters, and that's just to me, I think Nashville has this like songwriting mill where just every day you're going to this place, you're writing songs, you're throwing songs out every 30 seconds. And, you know, if one of them becomes a number one hit, then you start making some dollars out of it. But, you know, I don't get the whole writer's mentality in Nashville, because I'm a songwriter, and obviously I think from a personal level, you know, I do co-writes, but I do co-writes with one or two people. I don't get in a room full of people and go, let's throw out a song, which is what seems to happen in Nashville. So it's a very different way of doing things in Nashville. Yeah,
and I mean, I feel the same as you. I wouldn't think that getting in like a room full of writers is, for me at least, would be the way to write a song, because I feel like the journey and like the procedure, I guess, of writing a song is supposed to be more intimate than that. In like a room full of people, it just seems too big machine to me. I don't know.
And that's the unfortunate thing about what Nashville's become. It is all of this big machine. So I actually like the West Coast stuff that's happening, because it's more natural. It's more, you know, it's more real to life. It's real stories. Whereas a lot of the stuff that's on the country charts, the mainstream country charts, it's just been dribbled out. That's one thing that's why the Country Thunder Network promotes independent country music across the world, because we do play mainstream country music, but it's not something that I'm more into the intimate. I'm more into the intimate, the real, the stories from the people that are pioneering themselves into a career.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't know. The thing about Nashville that I like, though, that I feel is different from LA, that I've experienced myself, is LA is that it's a lot more about like the image. What I've experienced in Hollywood is more about the image and like the show you put on, and like
Oh yeah.
But I feel like in Nashville, it's more genuine about the actual music, and that's what I like.
Mm.
It's not about
Okay.
what you look like or like how your show is like super fancy and stuff. But I will say I agree with you about like the underdogs of country music, and I don't know if you have TikTok, but there's been a lot of good songwriters.
I've seen
on
a lot of
TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good songwriters coming up on TikTok that I see on my For You page and stuff, and I'm like, dang, like I hope they get some publicity.
Tell me what's happening with TikTok in America, because President Trump wants to ban it in America. Is it still active?
Yeah, I heard that as well. It's still active. I heard somewhere that Microsoft bought it, Bill Gates.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's still here. We still got it. But
Okay.
I'm not too up to date with that whole thing. All I know is that it's still on my phone. So.
Well, it's still on my phone, but I wasn't able to access it on the day that President Trump announced that he wanted to ban it from America. I couldn't access it because of something had happened. I don't know, but yeah, President Trump's a bit weird at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah.
So you've had to deal with this whole pandemic. You've had to deal with a divided nation on many issues, one being the pandemic and your rights and your freedoms being reduced and stuff like that by the states and the federal government, and another one because of the BLM movement was also a big division in the country. And then through all of that, you brought out a brand new single called Tennessee Tells, and it's awesome. You debuted at you didn't debut, sorry, because you were in the charts last week, but you're at number 4 in the Country Thunder International charts this week, and you got number 1 in the Country Thunder North American charts this week with that track. Tell us about the track.
Oh gosh, I love this. This one's one of my favorites. So when I recorded all my releases that have been released, all 3, it was all in the same studio day. And this one is about the first time I ever visited Tennessee. We went to this lake called Dale Hollow Lake. It's beautiful. It's like on the Tennessee and Kentucky border. And my partner, he's from Indiana, and his family owns a houseboat in Dale Hollow Lake, and that's where we went for a weekend. He had just gotten out of the Marine Corps, so the transition from military life to civilian life can be pretty difficult for a lot of vets. And we had decided to go there for the week to just get away from life, get away from everything, and just like have a good week. And the road trip from Indiana to Tennessee and that whole week is pretty much what that song is about. And we had only been seeing each other for like 3 months or 3 weeks at that point, because he was in the Middle East before that. And so it's just kind of a story about how the love unfolded. That's what it's about. And Tennessee, a lot of people have asked me what Tennessee Tells means. And for me, when I wrote it, it meant that Tennessee was telling that, okay, I want to spend the rest of my life with this man. Tennessee is like where I want to be. It's where I feel most at peace. And so Tennessee was really telling for where my life would go in the next couple of years. So.
Wow. So your partner's going to go to Tennessee with you?
He sure is. He actually plays on
Good
all
on
the
you.
tracks.
He does. Wow. There you go.
Yeah.
Wow. So he's one of the guitarists and one's the brilliant producer. Wow. It just goes to show how small a community the country music community is. That even if it is as big as it looks, it is really, really small. Because I've written. I've written with, even in Australia, I've written with top songwriters like Troy Kemp, who's now in Nashville, so The Whiskey, my 2019 song, was written with Troy Kemp. And
Cool.
here I am, last week, here I am sitting here in my studio talking to him like I'm talking to you, doing an interview with him while he's in Nashville. So he got there.
That's crazy. Wow, I love
that.
Yeah,
It's a great life. It's a great, how have you turned things around? Because obviously we have to look at, this could be our new normal. We don't know that this is going to end. No one knows that this is going to end. I don't believe that a vaccine is going to be the saving grace for society now. And I think that this is possibly the new normal. So how do you, not we, but how do you focus things and change things around for your music career in this new normal?
Man, big questions. For me, honestly, I've just been like writing a lot, and just trying to really focus on what people might be feeling right now and putting those into words and into songs, and filming those and putting those out in hopes to maybe reach everyone, to let everyone know it's going to be okay, and just try and give them a sense of normal. I've been seeing a lot of artists do like live stream concerts, and I think that's great because it gives people something to do, and watch, and a little sense of normal of being in a concert. It's not the same, but it's something. And it also gives artists a good platform to get tips, and hopefully stay afloat as much as they can and still put out music, because imagine a world without music. It's awful.
Correct. Imagine a world without music. It would be awful, because that's, we've all lived and we feel music, and music has been part of our existence for as long as we can remember. Now, one thing that I thought was absolutely ingenious, right, was and the man has been ingenious all ever since I got into country music back in 1994. Garth Brooks, I have to say Garth Brooks. He is a legend. He did a show from a studio, and it was beamed out to drive-in theaters across the country. So he actually got a huger audience in one night than he would have by doing a world tour.
Right.
That is, I think, that is possibly, obviously, our new normal. And I think that is something that we should be looking at, instead of doing a world tour, because we can't have people so close. We can't have, we've got to have social distancing rules for probably years to come. Who knows?
Right.
So pubs will suffer, restaurants will suffer, cafes will suffer, all of that type of thing will suffer, and musicians will also suffer because they've got nowhere to gig. Right. So by switching it around and doing these virtual things and trying to, I know some people have been selling tickets for virtual shows, like you can go through Eventbrite or something like that, and the live stream is actually closed off to the public, and it's only the people that have bought tickets. So I think there is still the option. To do a ticketed show virtually and still derive incomes from music, which would be fantastic. So I think that's probably where musicians should be looking at right now.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that, actually, buying a ticket. That's a good idea. And, even though it's not the same, like if this is all we got right now to hopefully get the world back to normal, at least it's something, and you got to do what you got to do.
Yep. Certainly look into it, because I know I know an artist in Australia did it. It was a full ticketed event. You couldn't just go and watch it on Facebook or anything. You had to buy a ticket. So there are platforms that are doing it, and it's all about, the artists have to spend a lot of money to create the product that they create, and they need to have a livable income. So just by doing virtual live streams on Facebook, which you're not, and having a tip jar and hoping that somebody will tip you, I don't think is enough. Not nearly enough.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I haven't heard that yet, and I really like that.
So look into it. All right. Well, I think we've been speaking for about 25 minutes now, which is fantastic, and it's getting very dark where you are.
It is. I know. It started light.
We just see the.
I was like, oh no,
we just
it's
see the
dark. I should have stayed inside.
We're just seeing the glow of your teeth now.
Yeah, I was like, I'll have a nice palm tree background for the interview, and I'm like, oh no, it's dark.
Yeah. No problem. Well, it is. No, that's fine. It is. What is it? 8:30 your time now. There you go.
The night's young.
I'm good. The night is young, so you've got some time to do some more writing before you go to sleep. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful to talk to you, Kylee. Thank you very much for your time. I wish you luck with. Wish you all the success with Tennessee Tells. It's a fantastic track, and #1 on our North American charts already. So very good.
Fans pulled through.
They did, and they got to do it every week if they want to keep it there. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm sure we'll be speaking again very soon.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for your platform and Country Thunder Network, and for letting me have my song on your rotation.
Anytime, darling. Anytime. See you later.
See ya.
All right, that was Kylee Stone, and her latest track is called Tennessee Tells, and it is available on all streaming platforms. Of course, you can download it, stream it on all your major platforms, or you can listen to it on the Country Thunder on the Country Thunder Network, and you can vote for her for the Country Thunder 20 at countrythunder.com.au. So head on over there and vote for her now. Until next time, this is DJ Dax for Dax Chats signing out. We are proudly supported by Neon Horse in Stanhope, Victoria. See you later.